show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening and welcome to SanAntonio FC Fancast. Oh, I guess I should have went San Antonio. But we're on the Royce Express, meaning that we need a quick show. We need to turn and burn, get this show done here. Joining me tonight, Rafa, Hala Madrid. How did they do?
2-0, and then knocked off somebody's team during the week. But it was a good game. It was a good week. And then Club America took care of Pumas last night too as well.
Jonathan, rough week for you. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, rough week for City. Bit of a rough week for my family personally. We had some issues here at the house.
Oh no.
I won't go into it, but it is not exactly pleasant. Not the nicest smelling effects from it.
It's that retirement. And talked to Mike Saturday. It's about retirement for that here. For me, everything is going good. Kind of cool thing. I know I talk about AJ a lot, but Anna made it to state for history fair, which I never knew was a thing. So congrats to her. Like I said here, I guess reading textbooks pays off. Who knew? For that. So, but we're here to talk about SanAntonio FC. Royce, hope you feel better, or I guess it's the family feel better. The missus and the son are down. Matt's supposed to be coming on, but he had to do an errand to be able to keep the rent low in the basement. So that's where he's at. He may be arriving for that here, but he's probably still licking the wounds from last night where his Dynamo gave it away for that here. So, but let's kind of talk about what happened at Toyota Field. I know, Rafa, you were out working, I think deep in the heart of South Texas this past week here. So SanAntonio FC defeats El Paso Locomotive 2-1 in the preseason friendly, according to SAFC. Through here, goal summary. Dogo Pacheco with an assist by Jake LaCava. It says in the third minute, but it was about 2.5 minutes in. And then in the second half, early, Jake LaCava. I'll see if I can pull up the video. Got a goal with the assist by Alexis Suhe, and then through here, El Paso trialists did equalize in the 71st minute. San Antonio does play a closed door friendly against, it says Houston Dynamo FC, but it's actually against Houston Dynamo Dos. They're not playing the first team again for that here. It's against the team. Starting lineup, Sanchez, Tainter, Suhe, Jimmy Madrana, who is subbed out in the 57th. Shannon Gomez, who is subbed out for Alex Cornelli in the 77th. Soto, who is subbed out with Omar in the 57th. Nicky, Jorge, Pacheco, who was subbed out for Juan Osorio in the 77th. Lacava Agudelo, who was subbed out in the 77th minute for Dmitry Irov. For that here, and I'll let you go into the quotes here, but we'll start with you. Jonathan, your thoughts on the game. This is how they started out as far as with the lineup, at least how I saw it here. Madrana, Tainer, Sohei, Gomez is the back four. Three in the middle, Nicky, Jorge playing more attacking, Soto. And then up top, you had the three, Lacava, Agudelo, and Pacheco. I will say in the second half, they dropped down into a 4-4-2, it looked like here, where Jake and Diego dropped down and Jorge moved up for that here as far as for the lineups, for the second half. But your thoughts, Jonathan Check, as far as lineups and just your overall view of the game?
Yeah, first of all, with the lineup, I would say, and I mentioned this, the thing that I found most interesting, it was a fairly, I don't want to say predictable lineup, because obviously there's a lot of chopping and changing in preseason, but no real surprises for me, except for, I believe, the fact that Diego Pacheco got his first start, and that actually bumped Luke Hawkinson out of the starting lineup, which was the first time this preseason that Hawkinson had not started. And unless I missed it, he actually didn't even come on as a sub. So
he did not know.
I wondering if maybe they just wanted to give him a week off. Maybe something came up. Maybe because it's SAFC, that might be a hint at our first injury of the year. That's purely speculation on my part, though. So take that with an entire shaker of salt. But yeah, I mean, getting some of that consistency, and they did make some changes as the match wore on, as you would expect, getting guys fitness, trying out different partnerships. As far as the match itself, I think you guys did see some flashes of what SAFC is trying to do, trying to be more possession focused. There were, I was talking with someone else earlier today about how you see them sometimes make these neat little moves where they're pinging the ball around quickly, sort of working it forward, working it around, spreading the field a little bit. So that is, I think, a positive sign. At the same time, particularly in the second half yesterday, it was a lot more El Paso. SAFC was kind of, I don't think you can really argue they were on the back foot. They were having to endure what El Paso was doing. El Paso was kind of dictating the match there, and they did for portions of the first half as well. So maybe not the best advertisement for the new style that players are talking about, being more possession based, being more dominant on the ball, as they say, but still a work in progress. Still have one preseason match to refine it. And I would also say, just kind of underscoring this whole, not necessarily seeing all the fruits of that new style yet. If you think of both goals SAFC scored, particularly the second, it felt more old school. I mean, the second goal, for those who may not have seen it, was literally a center back going route one. That feels fairly old school SAFC to me, but you can disagree. So even if they are kind of trying to be more possession focused, the moments when they actually scored, the moments when they had their biggest successes, were still kind of that old style, being fairly direct and quick in the attack. In both cases, I'd say. Again, more in the second than the first. No idea what that was. Other than that, I think
that was me queuing up the second goal here to be played. I'm gonna slightly disagree. The second goal, and I think you got a comment from Lacava. I don't think initially that they intended for him to score. I think that they meant to clear it up to there. But El Paso was kind of caught a little bit forward. And if memory serves him right, he did beat somebody off the dribble. And then he kind of had that open field. until he got to the touch line, and I think most of us thought that he was going to cross it. And that's what we all assumed that that he did, and then it went in. But if you watch the video and if you listen to Jonathan's Jonathan talked to him after the match for that here. But let's see here. So that's what he's talking about here. Hold on. Of course, now that I want to play it, it's all. Maybe that's not going to work. All right, so I will have to work on that because this seems to. Oh, never mind. We will scratch that. But so basically, it was a long ball. The defender was behind him. When you look at the goalkeeper, I didn't think it was out of place, but on the video angle, and Rafa, I know you saw it here. Basically, he got beat near post, which you mentioned in our chat that he'd be doing 50 push-ups after the match that here.
I caught my goalkeeper doing that. He'll be doing 50 push-ups. He knows better not to leave his near post open. But looking at that play, you gotta. I guess I know we're trying to be more of a possession team, but I think out of instinct, if you do see an opportunity for a direct long ball, you're gonna take that chance. And maybe someone did recognize that as far as on that play, and that's why they launched it. Not so much that we're going back to the old ways. But if it's there, it's there. If you can read a defense and see what tendencies they're doing, and if your forward makes a great run behind, you'll take a chance here and there. So, and we probably will maybe see some of that this season. Here and there. It's not a lot like we did last few years, but I think the players are gonna be able to recognize something like an opportunity like that. But you gotta give like Kava great hats off to him on scoring that goal there on a kind of little tight angle, but that's good. It's a confidence builder, and we'll see what we can do for the next right before the home opener.
So a couple of comments. One from Mike Check. Was not very friendly. Right before half, it got very handsy, I guess you could kind of say. They were coming together, they were hugging, and there were some hands up around the neck area that got ignored. Number 7, even in the preseason, was getting the friendly hello from San Antonio fans here. I think Royce said there was
573 or something.
537 was the and it was the attendance was affected by the weather. It was cold, it was wet. I think it would have been a better turnout if it was today, because today was a beautiful day here in San Antonio for that here. But your thoughts on on our little video that we took, Royce, who was sitting next to me, was basically like RGVs arrived, something to the effect. I won't use the exact language that he had, but it had a very San Antonio RGV feel there for about 15 minutes right before half, and then cooler heads kind of prevailed in the second half when both teams. Well, El Paso subbed out number 7, and then like I said here, second half there really wasn't the skirmishes like the first half with the starters. Your thoughts, Jonathan?
Yeah, you saw in sort of the same, maybe not necessarily always the same players involved, but in the same kind of area of the field, kind of almost on the border between El Paso's defensive third and the midfield third, and a little, I guess, closer to the sideline where everyone was sitting. You kept seeing these collisions where typically SAFC, but sometimes also El Paso as well would be going down after strong challenges. And so eventually that does add up. It did earn us our first yellow card. And I think it was at that point that also we got the first fight. And then a couple minutes later, we got another fight because it was happening again. If not for halftime, that could have gotten really feisty. So it was a well-placed break, I'd say. And this is something that, obviously it's still preseason, but when we were talking to Nicky Hernandez on Friday before the match, he did acknowledge, it is an in-state rival. Without RGV, this is the only one for SAFC in the league, at least. So it might get a little snippy. And from his time with New Mexico, I'm sure he knows plenty about hating El Paso. So, yeah, just kind of, I understand the convenience of having these friendlies against teams that are, close by, but if there's some bad blood, it may not be worth it for one or both of you, because you're just trying to sort of get your rhythm, test out your play. You don't want players to get injured or anything. And then you go to a match like that and you see those kinds of challenges, those tackles, and you're a little worried because regular season hasn't even started and guys are already potentially needing to get treatment and, picking up these knocks. I will also say, in terms of having a feel of if it was SAFC and RGV again, go figure. Wilmer Cabrera, former RGV head coach, a lot of the former Torres players that he's brought in over the last sort of 6 to 9 months, I guess I would say, since he came in last year. It's no wonder. So you may just start to see RGV 2.0 out there. We'll see.
And I will say that if you haven't listened to Seriously Local Pod, I would recommend it here. I think there is some concerns with the long-term health of RGV. I'll just leave, or not RGV, but of El Paso. Along those lines.
RGV West.
Yeah, it's like, and that's coming from them. They did so, and this isn't to slight them or anything at all, but basically, there's been nothing from El Paso social media, which is very rare. Used to be they were always out, even better in San Antonio in some cases, very New Mexico United-ish. But yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge for them. It'll be interesting to see what Mountain Star does. There is a question here. How did Dimitri do? He came on in the second half. What was it, 77th minute, I believe? He had a couple of touches of the ball. Just at that point, it was there was a lot of subs. I don't think he looked out of place, but the game, for SAFC, in my opinion, they'd kind of checked out a little bit, I guess you could kind of say, for that here, just and attacking wise, where they're just kind of sitting back and letting the youngsters, because they had subbed in quite a few backups to let them kind of get some experience, but it was, to me, it wasn't the same intensity as the first half. Your thoughts, Jonathan?
Yeah, I was just going to sort of chime in there and say, if a player only gets about 15 minutes, it's hard to say too much when it's a late stage of the match like that, particularly, as we've alluded to, when SAFC is just kind of sitting back trying to defend its 2-1 lead. And so you're not going to see much from a creative, potentially dynamic player in attack like Dimitri Erofeev there. So we can't really make any positive or negative judgments, nothing sweeping, nothing definitive at least. So hopefully we get more chances to see him going forward. I mean, he did only join camp a couple weeks ago. He's obviously going to be working up to fitness and also just trying to get chemistry with a lot of these guys, because you may see some past partnerships and some familiarity here and there, but I imagine I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe feels like he's kind of one of the more unique players in a sense where
Mhm.
it might be kind of hard to make those connections because there's sort of very few, if any, players that he could relate to, I imagine. So hopefully he's comfortable enough on the field and he's able to build those connections, and it'll help him settle in before long.
So I know you weren't there, Rafa.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts that you've heard from the games? From the game. Anything that kind of stand out from you before we? Since Matt's not here, I guess we'll address the parking and then kind of set up Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday, the kit reveal.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
Royce challenged us to get out of here in less than 30 minutes. So we should be able to do that.
I did take Matt about how they played and stuff, and they mentioned about they play three up front, like you guys mentioned right now. So something different. I think I asked him, I said, how was it different from the game in Corpus to yesterday? They said there was some difference as far as
The biggest thing is
some
the wings didn't go up. The wings stayed back.
no. Yeah, so that's like I said, he mentioned a little bit about that, and but I kind of knew that most of probably he's not going to show his cards, especially against El Paso. I think he's still experimenting because, like I said, you said he played with a 4-back yesterday. In Corpus, he played with a 3-back, and then the game against Dynamo, he played a 4-back. So I think he's trying to find what system works, what doesn't work. And here's a unique thing, and I mentioned this to Matt. You know, like with Marcina, you kind of what you see is what you get. So that's how the other USLTs were able to prepare for us. This situation is different because Yamosa has never been a head coach, so there's really no tape as far as what style he prefers. They can, they may try to go to what Giovanni Savarese has done because he was under him, but that doesn't mean he's going to fully implement. So that's going to be the unique thing is, we're going to surprise a lot of teams because we're going to be unpredictable. We just don't. They're not going to know what we're going to have out there. So, but as far as the play from what he told me and for what Saturday, like I said, it's coming along. It's just being more creative and stuff. So. And then I'm surprised Yuma wasn't out there trying to help him part of the fights or something there. Or maybe it's part of the coaching
Yuma's
staff.
retired. Hopefully, enjoying retirement. For that here, Matt says give him 5 and he'll hop on. So let me go through here and then I'll let him do it here. But well, let me ask you this, Jonathan, because you did have the media availability on Friday because it was supposed to be Thursday, but it got moved to Friday. And we were like, hey, is there going to be an announcement? There was no announcement. It's just, and there really wasn't much difference in weather temperature either. So I was like, okay. And then the other thing, so either there and then post game, anything that came out of those two that you want to share for there? I know you did an article already. That was put out from the quotes and stuff like that on blushingmoonblog.wordpress.com. Or pardon me, blush, BLUISH, not blushing.
Bluish.
Bluishmoonblog.wordpress.com. Sorry. I was trying to read it quickly. BLUISHMOONBLOG.wordpress.com. Sorry about that.
If nothing else, that those stumbles give Matt a little more time to come on. We're vamping for you, Matt, so you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, I would say just kind of some of the stuff I've already mentioned, talking about the style, talking about wanting to have a more possession-based approach. That was something that a couple of players had echoed. Carlos Umosa, even without sort of being prompted, still brought up that he still wants to see. Oh, we hear Matt. Carlos brought up that he still wants to see more in the attack, and he was kind of saying, hopefully we see that Saturday. Maybe we saw it, maybe we didn't. I don't know. Depends who you ask, I suppose. And I mean, just kind of some of the general talk that these guys are building their chemistry and obviously building up to what they want to be doing at the start of the season. They feel like they're gradually adapting to the style that they're supposed to have. And I know Nicky Hernandez in particular mentioned he feels like Carlos really does have a plan of how to help the team progress at the right pace, offensively and defensively. And besides that, I guess maybe some reflections from yesterday. I know Jake LaCava kind of talked about he felt like that was a good encapsulation of the work that they've been doing throughout preseason, the way that they've been building up, I guess you would say, and talked about how they faced kind of different challenges, even just against El Paso, kind of dealing with different blocks at different levels of the field and stuff, dealing with in El Paso a team that was pressing them a little more than the college teams they had been playing over the last few weeks. And something else that I also kind of mentioned and I asked Richard Sanchez about was how he sort of feels about the defense, because SAFC has conceded 5 goals in preseason, which it's not terrible. It's about 1 goal per match, and 2 of them came against Houston Dynamo in that first match, so that's not terrible. But sort of a late goal conceded in each of the last 3 matches, and 4 of the 5 goals that SAFC's conceded have been in defense in the second half. Sorry. So just kind of asking, how he's feeling about that, and he expressed nothing but confidence. He kind of said these things happen, like it's only natural, particularly against challenging teams like some of the ones that they're going to face in their league. So he didn't think it was too much of a concern, and he feels like the defense is coming together nicely, and he has confidence in not just the defenders in front of him, but sort of all the guys going forward, midfield and attack. And I know that's something that Carlos has talked about, is wanting a team that works even offensive or even defensively, starting in the offense, kind of applying pressure to opponents. So those were just some of the takeaways.
Matt, thank you for joining. Just kind of a quick thing here, because we were supposed to be out at this point here, but
I know, my bad.
party.
I got sent to the
Target.
Target.
For that here. So a little bit here. There is a question. Hello, everybody. Hey, Rafa, why is Madrid third? Any comment on that?
Last night I know that we were tied to the same points, so we're not in third, and so I'm sure he's ready for them to lose against Atletico this week.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So the reason why I wanted to have Matt on and Rafa, although Rafa's voice is a little shaky from who knows what he was doing in South Texas last week or this week here. Matt, you spoke with SAFC in regards to the new supporter section being over at 119. I know they addressed the parking, where parking is free up to 90 minutes before kickoff. And then they'll charge $18 with the service fees for that here. So kind of your thoughts on the meeting and kind of the takeaways from a supporters group section. I know Stuart has an invite to all these here, but I believe he works in the evenings, so he hasn't been able to make it. But yours and Rafa's thoughts, because you guys were on that conversation with SAFC at this point.
I mean, Rafa could probably say the same thing as me. About time he started listening to us, because that's literally what's happening. Yeah, they pretty much listened to everything that we said. It's gonna look hopefully good going through, and we're just gonna wait and see how they do it from the planning that we have.
So, from my understanding, it's going to be a 119. You're going to have the 4 or 5 rows up top, and then down at the bottom where they used to have the truck or the special seating right as you walk in through the south gate will be where the supporters will be there. how do you see the setup looking for this year? I know it's probably going to be a work in progress from what may start at week 1, may be different when we get to May June timeframe as we kind of work out the kinks. But from a supporters group view, what are you guys hoping that SAFC is able to put out for you guys that you guys are working on?
I mean, just fulfill what we talked about. Because the way it's supposed to look is the bottom where the truck was is your quote unquote ultras or your
Pit
actual
area.
rowdy supporters. And then up top you have your casual, and then the 120 is going to be the overflow. So those who just want to sit and be with the supporters, but then you have the ones who are actually like drumming, jumping around. Your That's how we look at it. Your necios basically. So yeah, that's how the area is supposed to be like. Um, if the more we can fill it up, the more we can move around.
Any final thoughts that you had, because you were at the game as well? Any thoughts that you had on the on the match?
Um, if it's and me and Rafa talked about it. If they look like this going forward, I'm happy. But if this is just for show and it's different, like apparently it was last year, I don't know. But I'm praying that it is like that. The way they played in Corpus and the way they played here goes going forward.
And there was a comment from Darius, and thank you for joining again. Thank you, Aguilar. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Ewan. I always hold out hope for putting the supporters group section nearest the opponent's bench. I don't think it'll ever be behind there. I could see the supporters group at like 115. That's where I would love to see it, is 115 behind the goal there. But like I said here, I think 119 is an improvement out of the bunker, but we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, it's a start. So we got
but for
we got to
sure,
rebuild
I mean,
it. Yeah.
Darius, you can say that the corner is literally like a foot away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that corner is literally, we're right on it. Cause we're supposed to. I don't know if they wanted us to like for the leads to sign a waiver saying, hey, y'all promise not to do anything while they're here. So yeah.
So final thoughts here, because I do want to get us out. I know we're 3 minutes over the 30 minutes here, but jersey reveal. Any thoughts on what will be the kit? Well, we know it's going to be Charlie.
I was about to say I will make a very bold claim and say there will be a little C probably right about here, and that's all I know. I know in past years SAFC will sometimes send the sort of media kit basically to media ahead of time. It's under an embargo, even if I did get to see it ahead of time, which I haven't yet. But even if I did, I can't say anything. All I can do is smile and say, just wait, just wait. So who knows what they're going to have. I'm sure Rafa's excited because it's the first one with Charlie, and it doesn't really matter what they put on there because he's just happy about that.
Hey, let's not forget Royce was part of the advertising and didn't tell anybody a couple of years ago for that here. Second here, Boston Mario. Thank you for tuning in and Boston's one of the hosts of Outsiders at Green Country Soccer. If you follow them on X, 918 Outsiders Pod. They do a great job. You can also find them on YouTube as well. So thank you for tuning in, Mario here in no offense, but I hope Tulsa stays out of the playoffs. Aguilar, sorry, Rafa, but Barca ain't losing. We are winning everything. UCL every tournament in Spain. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna call
He
BS
forgot
on
to put
that.
the V. He forgot to put the V in front of the Arsa. So
and Coach Cano just doing a welfare check on Harold and Jonathan of Madrid. Poor Jonathan. I'm catching
I think
strays here.
as far as the jerseys, like Jonathan mentioned, I think if anyone wants to see kind of what maybe the concept look like, I would probably look at what Tijuana and Atlas has because they have the same colors as we do. So maybe the concept may be similar to what they have, but like I said, they don't ever really disappoint on when they make jerseys. So and even the rumors supposed to going around that Liga MX may have be fully all Charlie in the next few years. That's where they're looking, kind of what MLS is doing with Adidas. So we'll see what happens from there.
Go, Jonathan.
I was just gonna say, Rafa said something about Charlie not disappointing with the jerseys, so you jinxed it. Great. Now there will definitely be disappointment. I mean, there always will be. With every jersey, there is someone's not quite content with it, but you can't make everyone happy.
True.
I think they'll be good. From what I've heard is through the grapevine is people says that it will. We'll be happy. Coach Cano, Edgar hologram. So, final thoughts. We'll start with you, Jonathan, and then we'll start with you, Rafa. Then Matt. End up with Jonathan.
Just final thoughts. Like I said, looking forward to the season opener. I know we still have a preseason game that, like I said, we won't be able to see. I won't be at the jersey reveal, but hopefully it'll be nice event. And then looking forward for March 8th. I think we're gonna have a pretty good turnout, and hopefully we'll start our year with a win. And high school show. Hopefully I'll be on the road in Austin, so I'll probably be doing the show live from Austin, but. Probably going to be going to a couple of games tomorrow. I won't say which ones because I don't want to get followed, but I have an idea where I'm going to be at tomorrow.
I'm going to guess it's not Jay versus Southside. I'll just leave it at that. Matt, your Dynamo gave it away.
Don't remind me, bro.
Don't think you were going to skate, dude. Don't think you were going to skate.
The dude looked exactly like Burks. It was the same style as Burks. I will throw him under the bus all day.
No.
It was exactly what Burks did. But just besides them losing an important game that really meant a lot, just keep a close eye on the fan page on Facebook, and then the supporter accounts. We're gonna announce how we're gonna go forward with the tailgates. I will say, some people may not like the way it's gonna be, but some will see why. But like I said, I'll throw a little announcement out there. Hopefully, either Wednesday or towards the weekend about.
Maybe you and I can do kind of a little show and bring on Stewart if possible for that here, and kind of go over those here. Jonathan, your final thoughts here. Kevin's heading to San Diego for all words, so that means the end of City. City will be crashing down. At least they're ahead of Man U. As bad as City's been, Man U. Matt, what is it with you supporting shitty teams, dude? Dynamo, Man U, dude, come on. At least SAFC is there for you. Although last year they kind of.
At least not a Barcelona fan.
Yeah, I'm not a Barcelona fan. I picked Madrid before I picked Barcelona. I'm not gonna lie.
That's only because of Rafa's influence. If Rafa was an influence, you'd have went with Barca.
I'm not a big Messi fan. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not.
Dude,
but you can attack me because I am going to that Inter Miami game on Sunday. So yes.
Anyway, for me, last 2 weekends, we've had our small glimpses of SAFC. Like I've alluded to, you can see little pieces of what they want to do. They say it's coming along well. As I believe, I think it was Matt referenced, they were saying some similar things last year. We're going to have this new style, and then sort of halfway or 2/3 of the way through the year, Alan Marcina even mentioned, we kind of had to just abandon that because we had too much player rotation because of all the injuries. Whether it really was because of that or whether that was just kind of covering for some other shortcomings, who knows? So we'll see if the second time's the charm with this more possession based and dominant on the ball style that SAFC wants to implement 2 years in a row, but under different coaches. And other than that, I last week had alluded to maybe trying to get an article out by the end of the week, not knowing that SAFC was going to be pushing media availability. And so at that point, I was like, well, at this point, I might as well just wait until after the match on Saturday. That way I can lump in some of that, some of the reflections from there. So hoping to have something over the next, in the early part of this week, I guess I'll say.
My final thought: be kind to people. Be kind to everybody. Unfortunately, I'm sure everybody heard there was a girl up in North Texas that unfortunately ended her life because people weren't kind to her. And I know, just be nice to people. If you can hold the door for somebody, especially if it's a senior citizen lady, proper thing to do as a gentleman. To me, like I said here, wave to people. Just try to be friendly. Like I said here, the world is kind of rough already. Let's not try to make make it rougher for everybody else. If you're having a bad day, like I said here, I was always taught, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. So, and that also goes, if you need to vent, hopefully you got a good friend group that you can vent to, that will take your craziness. But just try to be nice. Just especially for social media, people out on the streets, along those lines here. We're all trying to do the best that we can and be the best individuals we can. So to me, that's my closing thought for the night. We didn't get 30 minutes because Matt came on, delayed us, and we got sidetracked by his Dynamo giving it away. But we are still under 45 minutes, which is a win for me. So it's life without goals. We're out of here. We will see you. I'll see you on Wednesday at the jersey reveal. Also, it was great to see Pro SAFC out there. Please give them a follow as well as LD. I forget what his show's name. He was also out there. So, if you can support all of them. Darius Aguilar, Coach Kano, good luck to you guys this week. Boston, Matt, Mike, Ewan, thank you for everybody tuning in. We're out, and the show will probably be up later on this evening or tomorrow morning because I got to go get AJ. We're out.